All right. I'm sure everybody knows the current situation with Alice's family and the death of a family member that they couldn't be here at this moment. And I'll be filling in as a substitute. And like a good substitute, I am late. So we're going to start off with a word of prayer. We're going to go briefly over a recap of the book of Exodus, the last chapter we're in, and we'll continue on forth. Hopefully, we have limited time, so we are much feedback as I can get. As mentioned, I'm a substitute, so I will act more as a mediator than an actual, uh, you know, more giving lesson. I will act more as a mediator. So definitely your thoughts and your ideas and your voices definitely goes a long way. With that said, I would ask if possible, Brother Dennis, you can start off with a word of prayer for us.
Please bow me as we pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful and blessed day. Thank you for this opportunity to participate in a word of, in a word of your word, Father God. Father God, we ask and pray that you be with the Stanleys at this time. We ask and pray that each and every member that's on their way here, that they get here safely. We ask and pray that everything that's done and said today is done in accordance to your word. I ask and pray this in your Son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thanks. All right. So we're continuing on in chapter eight. We're to be honest with you, the chapter eight is the last chapter before we move on to the next. But we're still doing a quick recap. So if you will turn with me to Exodus chapter 16. Um, Exodus chapter 15, 16, sorry. If I can have a reader for the first half, so let's say from verse 1 to verse 17, and from 18 to verse 36, if I can have one reader from the beginning of chapter 16.
And they took their journey from Elim, and all the congregation of the children of Israel came unto the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month after they departed out of the land of Egypt. And the whole congregation of the children of Israel murmured against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. And the children of Israel said unto them, Would to God we had died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the flesh pots, and when we did eat bread to the full. For ye have brought us forth into this wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger. Then said the Lord unto Moses, Behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather a certain weight every day, that I may prove them, whether they will walk in my law or no. And it shall come to pass that on the sixth day they shall prepare that which they bring in, and it shall be twice as much as they gather daily. And Moses and Aaron said unto all the children of Israel, At even then ye shall know that the Lord hath brought you out from the land of Egypt. And in the morning, when ye shall see the glory of the Lord, for that he heareth your murmurs against the Lord, and what are we that we murmur against us? And Moses said, This shall be, that the Lord shall give you in the evening flesh to eat, and in the morning bread to the full, for that the Lord heareth your murmurings, which ye murmur against him. And what are we? Your murmurings are not against us, but against the Lord. And Moses spake unto Aaron, Say unto all the congregation of the children of Israel, Come near before the Lord, for ye have heard your murmurings. And it came to pass, as Aaron spoke unto the whole congregation of the children of Israel, that they looked toward the wilderness, and behold, the glory of the Lord appeared on the cloud. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, I have heard the murmurings of the children of Israel. Speak unto them, saying, At even ye shall eat flesh, and in the morning ye shall be filled with bread, and ye shall know that I am the Lord your God. And it came to pass that at even the quails came up and gathered, covered the camp, and in the morning the dew lay round about the host.
Yes. Can I have another reader to continue?
And when the dew that lay was gone up, behold, upon the face of the wilderness there lay a small round thing, as small as the hoarfrost on the ground. And when the children of Israel saw it, they said to one another, It is manna, for they wist not what it was. And Moses said unto them, This is the bread which the Lord hath given you to eat. This is the thing which the Lord has commanded. Gather of it every man according to his eating, an omer for every man. according to the number of your persons. Take ye every man up for them which are in his tents. And the children of Israel did so, and gathered, some more, some less. And when they did meet it with an omer, he that gathered much had nothing over, and he that gathered little had no lack. They gathered every man according to his eating. And Moses said, let no man leave of it till the morning. Notwithstanding, they hearkened not unto Moses, but some of them left it unto morning, and it bred worms and stank. And Moses was wroth with them. And they gathered it every morning, every man according to his eating. And when the sun waxed hot, it melted. And it came to pass that on the sixth day they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers for one man. And all the rulers of the congregation came and told Moses. And he said unto them, this is that which the Lord hath said. Tomorrow is the rest of the holy Sabbath unto the Lord. Bake that which ye will bake today, and seethe that ye will seethe. And that which remaineth over lay up for you be kept until morning. And they laid it up till the morning, as Moses bade, and it did not stink, neither was there any worm therein. And Moses said, eat that today, for today is a Sabbath unto the Lord. Today you shall not find it in the field. 6 days you shall gather it, but on the seventh day, which is the Sabbath, in it there shall be none. And it came to pass that there went out some of the people on the seventh day for to gather, and they found none. And the Lord said unto Moses, how long refuse ye to keep my commandments and my laws? See, for that the Lord hath given you the Sabbath. Therefore he giveth you on the sixth day the bread of 2 days. Abide ye every man in his place. Let no man go out of his place on the seventh day. So the people rested on the seventh day. A little bit more. Okay. And the house of Israel called the name thereof manna, and it was like coriander seed, white, and the taste of it with honey. And Moses said, this is the thing which the Lord commanded. Fill an omer of it to be kept for your generations, that they may see the bread wherewith I have fed you in the wilderness, when I brought you forth from the land of Egypt. And Moses said unto Aaron, take a pot and put an omer full of manna therein, and lay it up before the Lord to be kept for your generations. And the Lord commanded Moses, as the Lord commanded Moses, so Aaron laid it up before the testimony to be kept. And the children of Israel did eat manna 40 years, until they came to a land inhabited. They did eat manna until they came unto the borders of the land of Canaan. Now an omer is the 10th part of an ephah.
Okay. So, as a recap, we know what has transpired before this event, that they have recently just escaped the Pharisees, the Egyptians, and now after the incident with the waters of Merah, where they were thirsty and God provided water, uh, first the bitter water, and when the wood was thrown, the water they were able to drink it. Uh, After the water comes the hunger, and this is the first incident of that. The first question that asks in chapter 8 in our book says, what is the next complaint of the Israelites? How did God meet their needs?
They were hungry,
They were hungry.
and God provided.
Exactly. God provided the manna. Uh, what is the context of the whole complaining situation? Because we have seen uh, the Israelites complain before as well. What makes this one different? I guess this would be a better way to phrase it. Is it justified? Legit?
Never justified.
We were justified. No,
I always remember for Moses, you know, having having God in their presence, knowing that is that He's gonna take care of their every need, they still just gripe and rely on their own selves.
yeah. There was this one very interesting idea that Brother Ellis brought, both the senior and the junior. The idea that when you're pushed to the brim, that what you're willing to do, pushed to the brim as in your physical existence. Brother Ellis Jr. mentioned like if God had brought them out of Egypt just to die in the wilderness, just to die in the desert, then the response should have been, if that is what my intention, that is what my purpose is, then that is what God desires. But a lot of the times in our life, do we see our lives that way? I think it's very interesting because more and more as we read these passages, it's very important to put in context of our own lives and try to see our own path into the wilderness and see what is it that breaks us. Uh, I think food would be a giant necessity. I think that's something humored upon, but also that goes without saying that there are instances where man have gone beyond their ways in finding necessity of basic food, because that would be more instinctual. Things that when you are pushed to the brim of hunger, people doing extreme things just to stay alive because that is what your body necessitates. But what does the Bible say about that? Uh, another similarly, the next book, next question, it reflects exactly on this particular idea about about your spirit transpiring over your body. We looked at Deuteronomy chapter 8 verse 3, where the question is asking, according to Deuteronomy chapter 8 verses 3, this provision not only met the need of the people, but was also intended to teach them a lesson. What was that lesson? I'm going to briefly just read Deuteronomy chapter 8 verses 3, which is also recontextualized when Jesus says the same words when he's tempted on 40 days in Matthew chapter 4 and Luke chapter 4. It reads, Deuteronomy chapter 8, verses 3 reads, He humbled you, causing you to hunger, and then feeding you with manna, which neither you nor your ancestors had known, to teach you that man does not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the word of the Lord. So, with that said, what would be the lesson that we are? I guess the better way of phrasing it would be more in your own reflection. What would be that physical necessity that might transpire, that might transcend your spiritual, uh, like groundedness? And what would be that physical necessity? It doesn't have to be bread. You can give your own words.
I don't know, the realization that the word of God is like the manna that was there, that we get nourishment basically from the word of God today.
Mhm. The idea that the manna, just like the word of God, when we are at our lowest point, when we are hungering for the word, when we are at the lowest and we cannot survive, the manna is something like a relief in certain times in our life. When we are at our lowest, when the world has put us down, we go to the scriptures and find some comfort in it. And that way it is similar to that manna. Any other thoughts as far as contextualizing the idea uh, of that necessity that man does not live on bread alone? What would be that bread in your life? For instance, I could say reliance on my peers or my family. I always use that example to recontextualize because if my parents were not Christians, would I still be a Christian? If my parents uh, just like if there was a loss in my family, would that shift my faith? Because man does not live on one thing alone, is the idea that God provides everything for us. But a lot of the times we find ourselves contextualizing things from the world to keep us calm. Like if I didn't have my job, I wouldn't be the same person I was. If I didn't have my family, I wouldn't be the same person I was. What are those things? I guess that would be my question. Similar to this, I'm just recontextualizing from your thoughts. What would be those things in your life? Any thoughts?
I think it's everything,
Yeah. Yeah.
everything that you don't have.
Yes.
Because it could be on a daily basis, it could be work, it could be house, it could be clothes, it could be just everything that we do not have,
Mm.
that we want but do not have,
Yeah.
um, that we crave for, and we could say that it could just be anything.
Mm. Yes. Um, when you think about that right now, in this moment, Sunday morning, there are a lot of places in the world where they don't have the benefits that we have, are still doing the same thing, studying scripture, studying the Bible, because a lot of the times those things are extra. That we don't need those things, but it is a blessing that we have those things. So the context that man does not live on bread alone. I'm not trying to change the word here. but the idea that man does not live on things that are of nature. When we think of bread, that is what we're talking about. Bread is part of nature. Bread is the thing that keeps us alive. What are other things? Well, it's not building. It's not the the equipment. It's not every. That's not what makes us. That's not what keeps us Christians. Um, so we continue on with that same idea with the Israelites, that what is pushing them was that hunger. And uh, Brother Jason said that you should have that contextual idea that that God would be taken care of. They have been taken care of, and it is miracles. And you need to understand that, like, if God is performing miracles every day in your life, you would not have that doubt. Like, for instance, if I go outside right now, there's a big accident, like like movie, if you will. Like, everybody is destroyed, but I survived. You'd say, "Wow, this is a miracle." And if this thing keeps on happening, you'd be okay. There's somebody watching over me. But think about that context in your own life. I think a couple weeks out, when we were coming out of our driveway, we got hit while coming to church. We got hit we got hit with. We started our vehicle, and the context should not have been uh, that, oh no, this is accidental, but it should have been more. It should have put ourselves in a place that it could have been something much more previous, but we are protected in that regard. How many times those instances happen in your life where you do not see those blessings? Our mindset is we need big miracles to be proven, but the fact that we exist, just the odds that we exist, I can personally say in my own life that, coming from another country, that I actually, when I came here, I calculated the odds because we came in here on a visa, like a diversity visa, and it's almost like a lottery that you come into this country. Because we're not a rich family back then. Anyway, so when I came here, I calculated the odds of us getting the visa out of our country. A certain number of visas are provided every year. I calculated the odds. It was one in about 300,000. And when you think about that and thinking about like the life, that it's like two paths have diverged. The one path has led me so far to this point. Would you consider that a miracle? Would you see those little things when you go back and reflect on your life and see what are those little miracles that you are not seeing? Because a lot of the times we are bear down by the negative things that are happening, but we don't see the positivity. In this case, it would be much more extreme because the Israelites have seen those miracles. But yet, when we're pushed to the brim, do we think about those miracles? And a lot of times I can say it's not. It's not that. Because when I am, and I'm, even when I got cut off coming here because I was rushing, my mind should have not been, oh my goodness, why did I get cut off? It would be, I'm safe. God has guided me all the way from another country where I was born to here, and I would not die like this. That would not be my plan. Would not be this. And of course, my purpose was to come here and give this lesson. But you know, there is a plan laid out for you. Is the idea that you need to understand. And even if the plan lays out, that's a very extreme situation that Brother Ellis brought, and it is important to understand if your plan is to come to a demise, then think about the creator who created you. I think the book of Job always gives contextual when he curses the day he was born, yet God says, I created the stars. Where were you when that, like, the idea of uh, making something so insignificant, yet having to answer to it itself is something else. That God even responded and said, I hear your prayer. Why do you still complain? Is amazing. And it goes to yes.
Yeah, I was about to say that it is human nature for us to always recognize the negative in our lives,
Mm,
and we blow it out of proportion and we murmur and complain.
mm,
But the good that happens in our life, very rarely we give accolade to God and say thank you.
mm,
And this morning, my daughter said to me, we, there was an advertisement about some cure or something or treatment, and my daughter said, no matter what they come up as preventative medicine, when God is ready for you, there is nothing you can do. And if you are sick and God wants to have a plan for you, regardless of what the ailment is, He's going to extend your life for that plan to take place. So, when it comes down to it, we have to give God thanks for the small things. And the Israelites, they murmured, they went through the Red Sea, God did so much for them, took them out of captivity. But then they forgot all about that. And all they were concerned was about their stomach.
Because that is exactly the same context. If that is your purpose, now think about in context of medicine. I think a lot of the times when our physical health is at stake, a lot of these kind of things keep makes it even more difficult. I can think of something like when you wake up Sunday morning, when you can swallow your own spit, and you have to get out of bed. You have a fever, and you still have to. You're still coming here for worship, but your physical ailment is your priority at that point. And we think of like more dire situations where you know that the cure that there might be, it might not be a 100%, or there might be some kind of risk in any kind of procedure that you're having. When it comes to those kind of mindset, when your physical ailment is at stake, what does that contextualize your blessing? Do you still look at everything still having a purpose? Because when I get sick, my mindset would be more about prayer, to try to understand what has transpired this and trying to move forward with that faith still resounding strong. But yet, it would be more towards immediate relief from that ailment. You know, uh,
Uh, if I look this Israeli history, uh, I don't I don't see different than us. Since beginning, the human after falling from that situation, and and after that, that God said, "Do not touch, do not eat." After that, the devil went through human, and always human trying to escape from something, blaming something, just accusing. Like my family, if something happened, kids will blame parents. So so now comes pattern, me and my wife. So I blame my wife blame me. Each other just keep circling, keep circling. The the concept of this is God is the main pattern. God trying to bring the Israeli right place where he intended their life. Because this is created by God. God trying to bring future. The future is glory, great, and there is a God and his children. That is God's plan. They don't see little people. They don't see, and but the God trying to explain to by men who listens, who obeyed God. That is Moses. And Moses had not that faith. Even he didn't have that faith. And God trying to him explain everything. And the leader of the Israeli war there, they understand a little bit, not a whole thing. And that there was a people more than 600,000 means a big number. Can't reach out everybody. And grumbling was behind, coming from behind. God knows everybody's heart, why they grumble, what they want, what they need. Definitely God knows that. They need water, they need food, because there was a elderly, there was a hard, there were very too much thing needed. They were wherever they lived, there was everything was there. Food, water, everything. And they who brought there? God. Who brought there? They don't understand God. They just know the Moses and Aaron and their leaders. They brought there, and they blaming them, accusing them. You should have let us there. We would have died there with eating, with enjoying, rather than coming here hungry, without food. Yes, of course. Right now, we coming here Sunday to worship to our God. Every individual. Service is every individual. But we feel by inside, why would go church today? I stay home. I would relax home. But we don't understand. We go in church meeting. I worship my God. This is facility coming all one place to worship together because of God listens more than one voice. That's why we're coming here. But people don't understand that. They don't understand God's glory, God's love, and God's amazing things. Just people say, oh, thank God, when something happened to them. But if something happens, oh, just accusing somebody else. This is just accusation.
Thank you. So we're unfortunately out of time. Uh, we're closing out in a last thought. If anybody has any last thoughts before we close out. The only thing, again, because this was, a lot of it was held on the recap, but certain points need to be understood much more clearly when moving forward. Specifically, the idea that we have the Bible and we can see where the story goes. We can see what fails the end of the Israelites. Uh, when God was in that context, He knew that so many things have been laid out, like Dan mentioned. There's so many plans that are laid out for you, but if you're complaining, you are grudged down. We know that this generation of Israelites never made it. Uh, that is a testament to the idea that it's slowing you down from what God has intended for you to understand your purpose. It only slows you down when you're burdened down by the things of the world. And it might be the necessities that you cannot live without, like bread or water, or it could be something that might not be of as much significance, but each one understands their own life, and each one understands that in the book of Revelation, in the book of life, when our name is written, we understand that for the ending of our lives, like what is the ultimate purpose that is laid out. We just need to understand that we need to keep at this particular path without this complaining and the idea of being burdened down by these necessities. Uh, Again, we're going to continue on from the chapter 17, which we were supposed to do, where the story continues on after the manna. There's a lot of things that we did skip over, so hopefully we'll continue on with that next week. If I can have some Jason, please,
It's great. We finally are thankful for you and for the ability to study today. We pray that you continue to guide us this day as we study. Worship you in spirit and truth. Thank you for your son. Your grace and mercy in Jesus' name.
thank you for your comments.